was cool. Look at that countdown. Welcome back to the Dreamcatchers podcast, everyone. I am Jamie Stozer, my sister Marissa Klein. What do you go by on here, Kay?
No, I'm Klein.
Klein. Sorry, Klein.
K's for married people only.
Right.
And especially right now, it doesn't matter.
Right. Oh my gosh, that's so true. We are here today at Shared Universe for an episode of What's Your Story with our dear friend, neighbor, and colleague and friend and all of the things, Jenn McCaskill, who we're going to have introduce herself in just a second. Thank you to Ming for having us today. Also want to just take a minute to thank our sponsor for today, which is Mod 39.
Wearing a fresh dress that she
I should have thought to wear a Mod 39.
Ago.
I literally should have thought to wear an outfit. Whoops.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Jess.
We love you guys.
You
as
look
you
fabulous.
Know. Oh, fabulous. Okay. So if you see me looking down, it's because I'm sharing this to places. But welcome. We have not done a What's Your Story in a while, which is our arc of our episodes that really just unpacks somebody's full story. Sometimes we do an issue that we want to talk about or something that's currently kind of on our minds. But today we're going to talk about Jenn's story. So welcome, Jenn. Yeah. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience, tell us who you are, what you do, and then we'll start our interview with you.
Oh, well, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here. If I had had more notice, I would have gone on a diet had I known we were going to be on camera. Hope you have a filter. My name is Jenn McCaskill, and I am a divorce lawyer. I have my own law firm, Law Office of Jennifer McCaskill. We only do family law, divorce, custody, parenting time, all the really fun fights that I really enjoy having. I've been a divorce lawyer for 20 years. I'm a mom of 3. I've got 3 kids. I have a senior in high school, a freshman in high school, my daughter who's like makes my gray hair turn white. And then I have, as you guys know, Trevor, my 5th grader who just turned 11 yesterday. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Trevor. Oh, he turned 11 on our 4th podcast versary, which we realized came up in our Facebook memories yesterday that 4 years ago yesterday was our first ever podcast release. So happy birthday to Trevor and to the Dreamcatchers.
By the way, we have
we have a little
sparkling rosé.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to
happy
that.
birthday, Trevor.
Thank you.
In our
And
solo cup.
congrats on your 4-year anniversary.
We have the pink sparkly bottle from my friend Wendy at One Hope. Hi, Wendy.
Yum.
Hey, Wendy. Okay, so we're going to dig deep into your story. We actually, funny enough, have been wanting to interview Jenn. So good. Needed it. So we wanted to interview Jenn for a while. And literally what happened was we were here the last time and bumped into her on the way out of the building because her office is in this building. We're like, hey, Jenn, let's get you on the podcast.
Talk about a reminder.
Yeah, talk about a live action reminder. So we are so happy to be here today with you. Our first question is always our favorite question. And I know, just full disclosure, our guests get to see our questions before we ask them. But so she may have had some time to prepare her answers. But wanted to kind of start, because we really believe that everybody's story starts when you're a kid, right? We obviously are all moms. We're watching our kids we talked offline before we came on about our children and their behaviors already, and we see who they're becoming as human beings at a very young age. So we really try to talk about how the dream job, what you're meant to be when you grow up starts at a very young age. So what's your earliest memory of what you wanted to be when you grew up? Because I'm guessing a divorce lawyer was not the answer.
No, it actually was not the answer. My first memory of my mother in front of all of her friends saying, tell everybody what you want to be when you grow up. And she was like waiting for this fabulous answer. And I was like, I want to be a dinosaur. Like, that was it.
Have we accomplished this goal?
What does it mean to be a dinosaur now?
I have no idea.
Forever old.
Old, large. But, on occasion I might eat somebody up. Definitely.
Old and large. Old and large with short arms.
Old and large, short arms, and can be very vicious.
Yeah.
I would say.
What was your reason behind wanting to be?
I have
just
no
love dinosaurs?
idea. I think it probably, if I really had to think about it, maybe because they were indestructible somehow, which would make sense to me for my childhood because it was precarious.
Sure. Okay.
I also think you could have been a radio announcer.
You have a great voice on here.
Thank you. Or a saxophone operator.
Yeah, or that too. Okay, so tell us, where did you grow up, by the way?
So I was born in Arkansas, actually.
No way.
Yeah, so my mother grew up in Highland Park, which is in Middlesex County, and then she went to college in Arkansas. She followed her older sister, went to Arkansas, met my father. They were married at 19 and divorced at 20.
Wow.
And then she stayed. She stayed until I was 11, and then got out of a long-term relationship, and then we moved back home to New Jersey, or my mother's home, when I was in 5th grade.
Oh, so in 5th grade. So you lived in Arkansas until you were like 10,
11, yeah.
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah.
Do you consider yourself like a little bit Southern?
Well, it's really funny because anytime I speak to somebody from the South, my accent comes right back.
Sure.
As if it never left. And yeah, I mean, when I go to the South or travel to the South, I do appreciate how nice everybody is and how friendly everybody is,
Yes.
and the warmth and the much slower pace. But I would say I'm definitely more of a Northeasterner.
Sure.
I don't have enough patience.
You are very Northeastern.
I would never,
Right?
if you
Like-
paid me, like
Howard Jamie
in
down, she
solo
hasn't
cups,
spoke.
I would have been like,
Yeah.
no fucking way you're
Yeah.
from the South.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
wild.
I
I don't know anybody from
the
Arkansas.
only people I know from Arkansas are
Work for Walmart?
Well, yeah, Walmart. But we're Emily's cousins.
Oh, yeah.
Other than
Emily
that, I've
Cuskin's
actually never
cousins.
been to Arkansas. I've been to a lot of the other ones.
It's beautiful.
Dave has to
beautiful.
go for work to Arkansas, or used to go a lot
Bentonville?
to Bentonville. And always says it's
Fayetteville?
beautiful.
Is
Bentonville.
Oh, Bentonville.
They're literally like next door to each other.
It's beautiful down there. It really is beautiful.
Okay, so you grew up till 5th grade. Then you wanted to be a dinosaur.
I did.
Okay, so
Your
talk
parents
us.
split at one.
Like 1 year
Not
old.
even.
So I was about 5 months old.
Wow.
Okay.
And then that was it. I mean, I'll be 53 next month, and I think that I have met my father in person, I don't know, maybe 15 times.
Wow.
And the last 10 have been within the last 20 years. So really more as an adult, not really as a child, maybe 5 times throughout my entire
But did you
childhood.
have a stepfather? That's what you're saying?
I have a stepfather now.
Got it.
Right, so my mother got remarried 30 years ago, actually, when I was 23. She got remarried, and so in my mind, right, I'm a child of divorce. I've never really had a relationship with my father. I don't really know him very well.
Is he in Arkansas?
No, he's in South Carolina.
Okay.
He's remarried. He's happy, and we do have a relationship now. What was your question? I'm sorry, I just lost
No,
my
I was just asking if
They were kids.
yeah.
They were total kids. I mean, and back then
I was
in
saying, do you have a stepfather? That was
69
my question.
Oh yeah. So in my head, I have a father who's my father, and in my mind, that means biological. And then in my head, dad is the name that you earn. So my stepfather is my dad. Mm-hmm. Who's been in my life for the last 30 years. And, he came into my life as an adult, but he has definitely earned the title of dad.
That's so
which
nice.
was
Shout
cool.
out to him. I
Yeah.
know he listens.
I hope
cool.
he listens too. We're also children of divorce. We have a little bit of a unique storyline in that we have a very strong relationship, I guess, with both of our parents, and they have a decent relationship with each other.
Depends on the day.
They both listen to this, so we're going to keep it like
Yeah.
top line.
Keep it light.
Keep it light. But they know. They get it. My dad just got remarried like 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Just got married. And my mom is not married. But we are fascinated by the work that you do. My parents did it much more like just between the two of them. Didn't really go to true court with all of it.
That's good.
Which I think, looking back as a grown-up now, as a mother, I wonder if, God forbid I had to go through the things, what we would do, but, worked in our favor.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they were able to split in a very amicable way that way.
Usually if people can resolve their issues, right, around divorce, which is very difficult. Nobody ever gets married thinking they're going to get divorced. And it's a sad...
Except for us.
Yeah.
It's like a sad thing, even when it's the right answer. But if they can resolve it between themselves, especially if they have children, then that only benefits the children.
I think you would actually appreciate this sentiment, which I hope my dad listens. Usually we have a standing joke. He always calls me like while I'm live because he like doesn't know what I'm doing. So he's probably just going to call me. He's definitely not listening, but might listen. That I actually credit my parents' divorce for the relationship I have with each of my parents. Because I don't know anyone, literally anyone, still to this day, that could say that they went out to dinner with their father 3 days a week at 9 years old. Like, who
Right.
does that? No one goes to dinner with their parent alone. My dad would take us to dinner and stay in our lives, like, to a next level degree because of his OCD and
Especially
just
in
his,
those years.
Yes.
It's different now.
It's
'cause
different
so
now.
we're- we have a
And it
different
makes all the
parenting.
difference.
Yes.
We like had like individual strong relationships because of the divorce. I don't know that I would have ever gone out to dinner with my dad like that 3 days a week. Anyway, I digress.
Well, no, but actually that's true. So what happens is a lot of the times people are very unhappy in their marriage, and one parent just kind of works too much or is gone too much because they really just don't want to be home. And that negatively affects the relationship with their children, obviously. And I see time and again the parent who may have been somewhat absent during the unhappiness becomes a better parent after the divorce.
yeah, I could believe that.
Fascinating.
It really is.
No, it really happens a lot.
Somewhere between Dinosaur and New Jersey. What turned, I mean, obviously, I don't think it takes rocket science for us to deduce where some of your innate interest came. But I'm curious how you get to, and I mean, we wouldn't normally speak about this kind of personal stuff. You know, we talk personal, but not like this, so openly. But I really immediately am drawn to the foundation that you come from, and obviously the work that you do. I mean, 2 + 2 = 4. But so what did you want to do in high school? Like, what happened next?
So in high school, I think I wanted to be an archaeologist, which
Okay, so
Still
on
dinosaurs.
brand.
again, but I think when I think about it
Paleontologist
now,
was next.
When I think about it now as an adult and after like 15 years of therapy that I started in my 20s, I think it was more like somehow knowing that I'm going to have to deal with my past and I needed to like dig some shit up.
Yeah.
to
Look
really
at you making these correlations.
kind of
Or your therapist.
really
I like
yeah
that.
just to dig it up. And I do think that just professionally people end up doing either like something they want to understand more or something like that they needed. And for me, I definitely, on the one hand, I understand that if my mother had had me as a divorce lawyer or a divorce lawyer like me, my life as the child would have been a lot better. It definitely would have been a lot better. So that definitely drives me because in my mind, it's not okay when dad leaves and then all of a sudden there's no money to buy food or the lights are getting turned off because dad has left and there's no money. I mean, that was my personal situation. It's not always dad that leaves or dad who makes the money, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
And I think I also really needed to understand deep down, and I wasn't aware of this at the time, obviously. I really needed to understand when people got divorced and why a parent just left.
Yeah.
Like I really
How
innately
can you
just,
comprehend that when you're young? You can't.
You can't understand it.
You can't understand
can't.
until you're an adult in your own relationships.
So how did you start studying it? Like what ended up happening? Did you
Did you know you wanted to go to law school?
So, it's really funny. Okay, so you guys are going to laugh at this because all my friends do. So when I went to college, right?
Where'd you go? Catholic?
That was where I went to law school.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I went to Gettysburg.
Oh.
Undergrad.
Oh, nice.
Great
Okay.
school.
Great.
I had gotten an academic scholarship. At the time, my mother was working 2 jobs and had no money. And she was like, get in wherever you want and I'll figure it out. And I was like, okay. So I took the best offer that was offered to me. And I went to Gettysburg and it was like where I was meant to be. And I was actually a German major.
What?
I know. I'm like full nerd. I know. I present a lot cooler than I actually am. I was a German major.
Do they offer that?
Like
do.
language major.
So I
like
was a German major. I was a women's studies minor, and I was going to go and get my PhD in German, and I was going to become a college professor. And instead, I moved to DC and became a bartender.
Right.
My mother was thrilled.
Is your birthday on the cusp?
I'm November 16th. I'm a Scorpio.
Okay, you're Scorpio. But you're close. Okay, so you're not cuspy, but Scorpio makes more sense.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, so I always knew that I wanted to go to grad school. I didn't know for what, but I knew I wanted to further my education. And I was bartending, and then I was working for this trade association in DC because I moved to DC after college. I was a bartender. And then I got tired of being a bartender because everybody treated me like I was fucking stupid. And it used to just really piss me off. But it was great money. I had a great time. And it is very true. People do sit there and tell you all their problems. There's a lot of lonely people out there. And then I worked for this trade association for the biotech industry. I know, completely random. And everybody there had
As
their
random as German and Arkansas.
I know, right? I'm full of random.
Full of random.
I'm full of random. And then everybody there had their law degree, right? Because they were lobbyists. And
Yep.
and throughout my whole life, people kept saying, "You should be a lawyer. You should be a lawyer." I'm like, I don't want to fucking be a lawyer. Lawyers are like douchey. Like I have no desire to be a lawyer. And then I just kept like the universe just kept telling me,
Yeah.
right, to be a lawyer. So I started looking at master's programs, and I was just not that focused. But I used to volunteer at like domestic violence shelters.
Like you
and
had innate
had an
interest in some of these things.
in like
So
family helping.
we always do this work with people that are currently soul searching for what they want to do. And I'm just inserting this for a second here, not to interrupt you, but because we are career coaches and talk to people every day about what they want to be and why they want to do it. And we started this podcast for the same reason. This exactly what we say. Like if
pay
you have
attention.
pay attention.
Yeah, the
What-
universe
look at
will
what you're
lead you.
into.
Pay attention.
100%.
The universe will lead you, and also your innate skills or your innate experiences might dictate what you actually are meant to be doing.
100%. So at that point, now it's like 1997. I was dating a guy who was in law school at the time. I was working with a bunch of people that had their law degree. I was looking at graduate programs, and they were all way too specific for me. And so I was like, all right, well, my conclusion was that the most versatile graduate degree you could get is a law degree because it's always going to give you more money and it's going to be a great education.
When in Rome.
So I applied to law school. I didn't tell anybody because I was like, I didn't think I was smart enough to go to law school. And I had so many insecurities and so much fucking baggage from my childhood. So I ended up applying to law school, and then I got in and I was like, holy shit, what do I do now? And then I went to law school. I had to go at night. By the time I went back to law school, I was 28 and I worked full time, and I went to law school at night. It took me 4 years. I graduated 20 years ago in May.
That's awesome.
But I knew when I was in law school, I was like, if I'm going to be a lawyer, I've got to be a divorce lawyer because nothing else is interesting to me.
Yeah.
And there it was, right? There was my childhood coming back and
Aha moment.
everything
there it is.
everything that you're talking about. And I've been a divorce lawyer for 20 years.
So your first real job was the bartender?
My first real job was a bartender, which was an extension of like when I was in high school and college. Like when I was in high school, I was a busser. I was a bus girl because I used
You
to.
always did like hospitality.
I always did hospitality. I've been a busser, a server, a cocktail waitress, fine dining. I did banquets, weddings.
I mean, she has such a great hospitality personality.
You know, because we always, that's
Doesn't
usually our next
usually-
question.
You
Like,
must
what
have been
was
like the life of the party in law school? As
Well-
far as personality goes, I don't mean in a bad way, but collectively, lawyers are not necessarily as
Lawyers not the coolest
gregarious
people
as you.
not
generally.
like,
no.
Well, they're not like as charismatic as how you
Yeah,
come
that's what I'm
across.
saying. They're-
So I
they're
feel
drier.
like they're a little bit drier as a whole, not to be completely like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But if you have to hang out with lawyers, you pick divorce lawyers because you can't be a divorce lawyer full time and not have a good sense of humor.
totally.
Right, or a good bedside manner.
Yeah.
Let's be
Yeah,
fair.
you have to like
You
really
need to
get
listen.
people. You know, I think what's really interesting is usually our follow-up question to what did you want to be when you grew up is what was your first job? And so we kind of covered the fact that you started your career in the hospitality business, which I think what's so interesting about that, to bring it back to career, is there is an innate skill. I just had a conversation with a candidate today who I was helping with her resume, and she was asking if she should take waitressing off. And she's done waitressing at like several places. And literally I have this conversation like once a day. I'm like, no, we do not take waitressing off, because waitressing, anybody that's listening, if you have been a waitress, I don't care if you're 53 or 23, it's important to share, because not only does it show that you have like an innate like ability to balance and engage and deal with difficult personalities and all of the things.
Also, you intuitively know, this is my favorite thing about having been a waitress for a long time. You notice things.
Yeah.
Is their cup empty? Do I need to refill it?
Yeah.
Do I need to clear the plates? Like things that like you have to pay attention.
Yeah,
if
attention
you
to
want
detail.
to earn your tip.
Well, when I was a bartender, I could tell when somebody walked in. I would look at their shoes, and I could literally tell by the fucking shoes they were wearing on how difficult or good of a
Customer they
of
might
a
be.
customer they were going to be, and how well they were going to tip.
It's
By
so
their
true.
shoes.
By their shoes.
By their shoes.
You know, just that intuitiveness of like, that's such an important skill that you learned at such a young age, and then obviously going back to law school, and then you graduated and became a divorce attorney right away.
Did you work at a law firm before going out on your own?
Oh yeah. So I was originally a DC Northern Virginia lawyer
Okay.
for about 5 years, and then I had gotten married after law school. We had our first kid, and all of a sudden I didn't want to live in DC anymore. And I had been in DC for 14 years, and I was like a Washingtonian, you know, like I loved DC, I loved the city, I loved the whole area. And then once I had our first child, I was like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
So then it turns out, again, the universe just provides. I was working at this law firm downtown, and the lawyer that I was working for dropped out of a heart attack. And then the firm closed a year later. And then it was either I took a job, I had some job offers on the table, or we were going to pick up and move to New Jersey. And I have an aunt and uncle that have lived in Rumson forever. So I was like, I want to be down the shore after being in DC landlocked for 14 years. So so we moved up, we sold our house, we moved up here. We had one child. I had to retake the bar and start my career all over in 2006.
Wow.
So then I got a job, I took the bar, I had to wait for my results. Got a job in Shrewsbury at a local firm in 2007, and then in September of 2009 I got laid off with the last recession.
Yeah. That was a terrible
Terrible time.
I know.
And I was like, oh fuck, like nobody knows me, because in the land of lawyer, right, 2.5 years in a jurisdiction is like a minute. And I didn't have any work. I didn't have any business. Nobody knew me. Law firms were closing left and right. So we had 2 children at that point. And my husband's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I guess I'm opening my own firm. So then my mother took a loan against her 401k and gave me $50,000 to open my own firm. And I had 8 cases, which is not a lot at all. And I bartered for my desk. And I opened a law firm. Actually, in this building, on this floor, was a small 2-room office that I had.
Wow.
And that was in October 1st of 2009.
And how many people work for you now?
Now I have 9 employees.
Wow. That's pretty awesome, man.
Also
That's
in
a
this
good
building.
story. Also in this building.
Yeah, so I'm in the front of the building. I just moved my office
So
space.
in true Scorpio form, you are still attached to home and didn't necessarily want to move your office somewhere randomly different.
Well, you know, it's funny because that was the move I just had September 1 has been my 3rd move in this building.
Right.
You
Since
stay
I've
where
been
you're
here.
comfortable. Of course you do.
Interesting.
It's a
is
very-
that why?
yeah,
Is that
that's
why
a
I
very-
won't upgrade my house too?
Well,
Marissa?
that part I can't get into.
Because like I just can't.
That part I can't get into. That's a real estate conversation, and right now it's just not.
I know.
Come on.
No, it's not.
So now that we've caught up, okay, tell us about your firm and what you do day to day. I know obviously most people out there know what a divorce attorney does, but like in the grand scheme of things, but like you obviously have different things that you offer. We talked about this even briefly the day that I saw you. Is it like mediation? Is it what is it that you're filling your days doing?
So my days are filled with, so I represent individuals. I represent just as many men as I do women. People always ask me, like, do you only represent women? I'm like, no. Oh, God, no. Because I like the difference between how men and women handle their divorce, and I need the variety. Actually, I don't care about their gender. I just care that I'm not representing the douchier one. You know? Right? So like somebody's a complete fucking asshole. I'm like, I'm sorry. Yeah, I can't
Wrong
take your
person.
case. No.
Yeah.
Too busy.
Has that happened to you before?
Oh my God, yes. Yeah. That's really just like my only test is like, do I like them? Can I get behind them?
And has COVID really upped your
Oh my
game, or-
God. Oh my God. COVID put everybody that was on the verge like right over the cliff.
Yep.
And we are busy as fuck. Really, really, really busy. So I represent individual clients, men and women, in their divorce. So I go to court and have the fights, which I do. I really do enjoy fighting. I love me a good argument. It feeds my soul. It really does.
I have a few you could do for me.
I have a couple arguments. That I need your help with.
Horizon for me. I feel like you'd be good at that.
Yeah, totally.
I do love a fight worth having. And then I also have another part of my practice, which is a natural extension of my practice, where I'm the mediator. I'm the neutral third party who helps people make a deal. Right. So, like your parents.
Yeah.
Right. So your parents.
How does that suit you?
Oh, I love it because again, it's a nice change to the fighting. And if people can proceed with mediation out of the gate, right? So when you file for divorce, you're filing a lawsuit. You're suing the other spouse for divorce in family court, right? And then the only way you can get divorced is by either having a trial and putting on witnesses and testimony, the judge decides who gets what, or most of the time what we do is we enter into what's called a settlement agreement. It's a 25-page contract. It says who gets what, where are the kids on Christmas, Hanukkah, birthdays, Mother's Day, Father's Day. It reduces your whole marriage to like a 25-page document, which can be very disconcerting for people, understandably. And when you file for divorce, there's a couple of like mandatory try to resolve your case events that the court makes you have before they'll let you go to trial. One of them is mediation. So if people are on the same emotional page, like, okay, I'm not happy about it, but we're going to get divorced, and everybody accepts that they're getting divorced, they will start mediation out of the gate before anybody files.
That's what they start with. That's like step one.
So they just like, they skip that 6 to 8 months of litigation initially and jump right to mediation. And so that's where I come in. So people come to me with lawyers that are in the middle of litigation process, or I have a lot of what I call private mediations where the people just come to me without lawyers and they're like, we're getting divorced and, help us make a deal. But I do really enjoy it. I really do enjoy that as well.
Well, I would feel like in layman's terms, it's almost like a Sudoku puzzle where you're just helping the other see the other's point of view without being elevated or emotional about it.
So actually
or hurting one another.
Right. So this is what I always say. Opposites attract until they repel. Mm-hmm. Okay. And when they repel is when they get divorced. And what happens is when they repel, they're no longer speaking the same language or speaking two different languages.
Sure.
So I always tell them, I'm like your translator, because people are hearing things through their own filters for whatever their childhood trauma was or whatever their emotional buttons are that are getting pushed. And I go, no, stop talking. This is what he's really trying to say. And he'll be like, thank you. And then I do the same,
right.
just to try to like get everybody on the same
There
page.
is a little bit of, Marissa and I say this all the time. We are recruiters, career coaches, however you want to call us, but we are therapists in a lot of our day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sure you feel the same.
Well, the divorce process is very therapeutic.
Yeah.
Cathartic.
It's very therapeutic. People have to deal with their shit because it all comes up. And the majority of times, people recreate their parents' marriage for better or for worse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting. I say this all the time, not just about my own upbringing and divorce, child of divorce. I feel like you either try to emulate your parents exactly, or you're trying to be the exact opposite of them. Like, depending on where you're at in your life. Like, I see myself every single day, if I were to actually dig deep, ensuring that I'm never going to get divorced. Because I know what it was like for me. Mm-hmm. What does that look like? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then, like, my husband's parents, my in-laws, are still happily married.
Like forever.
Forever. Yeah. But they are immigrants, and they are extremely old school. Mm-hmm. So, like, I also see Dave doing things that are, like, legit, like, textbook opposite of his parents. Just even though they're happily married, because he knows that that's just not what works for our marriage. So I just think it's so interesting to hear you say that. Like, you either... I love your quote of opposites attract until they repel, because I think, isn't that what marriage is? Just trying not to repel?
Well, listen, I mean, like, my husband is very opposite of me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's a pleaser. He's the middle child who was a pleaser, and then he marries a total boat rocker.
Right.
And, it
I've seen
works.
his moves.
I've seen his moves on the dance floor.
I mean, it does work for the most part because we do balance each other out. But I mean, please, there's times where, I think about giving him the shush pillow.
Yeah.
I mean, don't we all? I mean, if you've been married long enough, then you've definitely thought about the shush pillow.
You know about the shush pillow. Okay, so we talked about your aha moments a little bit too, and I really loved what you were saying about the universe gifting you those moments, because I think one of the things we try to implore people to think about is, taking that kind of mental pause to listen to the universe and be like, what is it that it's trying to tell me? But also your innate gifts. Like, you had an innate gift for hospitality, for making people feel comfortable, for speaking publicly. These are things that are your innate skills, like, if you were to actually list them out. So our next question is about your superpowers. So we believe that every single person has something that they bring to situations that no one else can bring. For inspiration, Marissa and I we always tell ours, because I think it's important for people to hear them, but also so that it gives you a little bit of food for thought. So mine is sparkle. So I believe wholeheartedly that I bring sparkle and joy and shininess to everything that I do, both in physical items and images and branding for my own firm to a situation. I'm always going to be the one with the joy, the cheerleader, the sparkle. And I think, I'm not saying that other people can't emulate that, but it's just Jamie. That's who I am, So, and Marissa's is intuition. It's something that she's just innately, and it's Marissa's intuition. It's not anybody else's. It's her ability to see the right thing to do, the right thing to say, the right course of action. So what would you say is your superpower? Like, how would your friends describe you? Who is Jenn in your group of friends? What is your thing that you think people would say you bring that no one else can bring?
Oh God, I don't know. I do know that all of my friends say, my college friends that have known me for 35 years are like, of course you're a divorce lawyer. You've been arguing for 35 years. You've been giving advice for 35 years. Mm-hmm. You've been protecting your friends for 35 years. Of course you're a divorce lawyer.
But that could be a superpower.
Yeah, I don't know.
Being able to protect those around you.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the one thing that I acknowledge that I'm really good at is kind of reading situations and being very strategic in how I approach something. So when a client comes into me, I'm talking about the personalities. I'm like, I get a read on them, and then I ask about their spouse's personality, and then I ask about their parents, and then I ask about their spouse's parents, because I start to like form a picture in my mind on the personality types that I'm going to be dealing with.
Yeah.
And then I will form a strategy moving forward. Like, I'll say, oh, okay, so your husband's really controlling, so I'm going to have to set up this deal so he thinks it's his idea.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed.
Right? So like
this. So I want to say I've sat in this chair
70 times.
70 times.
We learned yesterday. This is our 71st episode.
Out of everything that we have done, this is the only thing, other than the school part, that I think I could do.
But being a divorce attorney?
I couldn't do the where you lose me is the contract, like in all the noise.
Like the legal part?
But
the law?
strategizing with people and the mediation and the hearing and the doing and the seeing and the cultivating and the families and the structure. Like, I mean, that's me. That's what I do with job search. It's so similar.
It is.
Like, I can't help
well,
but
yeah,
react
because
to
you're
that.
like building a picture.
I mean,
right?
I
Like
look
you're
at someone
building a picture of somebody.
1,000%.
Yeah.
I've said I don't get to talk about this that much, but like when someone would come in, remember when I used to go to the office? I do. So remember and we used to have this it's such a funny thing to actually say used to, because it was such a huge part of our life. But like we had this interview room.
Oh my God.
That was smaller than this table. Okay?
Like literally, we'd sit with these people.
Like it would be me
like
and
pre-COVID.
you, like I'm straddling a stranger, like completely on top of them, dripping.
I would be totally fine with that.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure.
I've been
Cozy.
married for 20 years, so,
So
yeah.
you'd be like, hello.
Change it up. Let's go.
So sure enough, we would have these meetings, and like people would come in, and I would have them sized.
Right.
Like, oh, they think they're so good at what they do. I'm like, I know that this is what they're going to say. And I'm like, I know
Yes,
what the
yes.
reference is going to be.
Yes, you can see it. Yes.
I'm sure I know their astrology sign, because that's like a fun little thing that like I would do for like my own personal enjoyment. And sometimes I'd be like, so like, are you an Aries?
You know, it's funny because I do have clients in the past that have been like, are you a Scorpio?
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
I mean, I love
like,
Scorpio. So
yeah.
like, you feel Scorpio to me right away.
Really?
Yeah, but I thought you were cuspy, because when you're between two signs, it makes a lot of sense that you would be like a bartender and then like a hospitality person and then like also interested in going to law school. Like
That just seems like one big continuum to me. Like,
right, like for you it's normal.
Yeah.
But like for most people it would be like it's two different sides of their personality. So usually if people are born on like 19 to 22, they have multiple personalities.
Yep.
Professionally.
You know, I
Interesting.
think
Sorry.
I
digress, but
actually
I'm saying
no. I
I'm
will tell you,
fascinated by
I
what
do
you're
have
saying.
multiple personalities when I practice.
Right.
Because
You
sometimes
have to be a listener. Sometimes you have to be aggressive.
I'm being a therapist. Sometimes I'm telling my client to shut the fuck up and pull your head out of your ass.
Yes.
Other times I'm like flirting with my adversary. Other times I'm telling my adversary to go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm sucking up to a judge. Sometimes I'm going down a judge's throat. Like it really depends on my read of the situation, on what's going to be the most effective avenue for me to achieve what I'm trying to achieve.
I'm obsessed.
obsessed.
Sorry.
Obsessed. Same. And
Also,
this is literally
divorced
what
parents.
This is divorced parents.
Yeah.
This is literally what Marissa and I do. It's like, listen, today alone.
Like I'm sweaty. Like
Today
I'm
alone-
like excited.
I'm like
you
getting
didn't film
choked.
me the last time.
I'm
Can you
totally-
go
no,
to
okay,
going to the
I'm
right
sorry.
side?
no,
sorry.
don't. No, you have a heavy pour.
Oh, sorry. You
got the refill
there's like
already.
a
I
sip
did
in
not.
there. I'm really
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay.
I
So
drank all of it.
It's okay. So today alone, I had a conversation with a career returner, as we call them, like somebody coming back to work. Like
Why is that funny? Is it not a good word? Because we're working on our words.
the returner is not actually not what we decided on. I forget what we decided on. Come back.
Oh my God, that was really, that has such a negative connotation,
What,
by the way.
returner?
Yeah.
Okay. So come back.
Are you in a dark? You're in a dark place with that word. Okay, I know where she is, and that's the wine.
I'm getting red.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
okay.
So somebody that's coming back to work after being gone for a while.
Okay, that is not the connotation that I got, by the way. I thought that you were talking about a person that was constantly switching careers.
No. This is somebody who is coming back to the workforce after not working for a long time.
Okay.
Like a comeback.
Like a lot of my clients. Yeah.
Okay. So I talked to somebody like that, and then I talked to a junior in college, same day, back to back. It is the same conversation. So what you were saying is being able to read the situation, understand their woes, try to figure out what it is that they need. And that is what Marissa and I now have been doing for the last few years through COVID, is coaching people on what the hell to do. No one knows. So my favorite analogy, I might use divorce attorney now moving forward. My favorite analogy is a housekeeper, okay? You can easily clean your own home. You can. But if you have a couple extra bucks, you might hire someone to do it for you, okay? I'm starting to get further and further from that because that's a luxury. You cannot get a divorce without a divorce attorney. My theory at this point is it is almost impossible to figure out the job search process without help. You need someone to help you.
Right. So how do you
'Cause
hire?
I don't think
how
it's
do you hire
innate.
for your staff?
Yeah.
How have you found your people?
Oh my God. So I'm not a good person to ask this question because most of my people found me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I swear to God, I put the energy out there, and it was it
But
like
that's the answer, though.
you know
put the energy out there.
I was very clear on what I wanted, but like I have 3 associates, I have 3 lawyers that work with me. One of them, I had used to do mediation for her, and then she had quit her job and had a baby, and 2 years later she called me and was like, "You used to be my mediator. Can I come work for you?" And I said yes. And then
Networking when the least when you
Right?
Networking the most when you need the least.
Okay, go.
And then I
next.
had an associate. I have another associate who was a law clerk for a judge. That during his clerkship, I used to appear in front of her a bunch of times, and then he sent me his resume, and he came in to talk to me. I was like, "I really don't want to hire a baby lawyer. Like, I don't have time for this shit." And he was like, "No, you're hiring me." And I was like, "Okay." So then I hired him, and then I have another lawyer that I had been against her a couple of years ago. I ran into her in December. I was like, "How are you?" And she's like, "I'm going to be leaving where I'm at. I'm looking. Can I call you?" And I said yes. And then I
By
hired
the way,
her.
those 3 examples are exactly what we tell people to do all the time, is to be networking and talking and thinking and
be focused on like what you want and be very clear on what it is that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Because it's like a vibe. It's an energy.
I always say all the time, your vibe attracts your tribe.
100%.
So tell us what inspires you. Like, you obviously have to, I think what your work is interesting to me because it's, I don't know if I've ever really thought of it this way, but like I think of like a NICU nurse, for example, or like there's certain jobs
Dude, you're like in it with people.
that you have to really almost be
Bubbled up?
emotionally bubbled up. Like you can't let it in, especially as a child of divorce. I'm sure it gets cloudy. Like when I have a girlfriend who's a NICU nurse, and I'm like, how do you not, and a mom, how do you not correlate? Like what goes, so what inspires you? What keeps you going and helping these people? And what do you call on for inspiration? Because you have to have it come from somewhere. Like you have to, how do you keep going? It's tough to watch people go through this kind of stuff.
Okay, so I find it really fun. I really do. I mean, it might sound dark and twisted.
No,
but
it's not.
I mean, like I said earlier, I do love to get my fight on. It has to be a fight worth having. And then I'm all in. And then I'm going to fucking slit your throat and I'm going to enjoy it. Like, I get really aggressive. That's definitely a side of me. But if I really like take a step back and you look at it from a high level, the way that I see that what I do is I help people have a better life. I help people have a happier life. When they come to me, they have been unhappy for at least 5 years.
This is what we say all the time about the people that come to us.
Right?
Yeah.
They come to us unhappy.
Yeah, so they're unhappy, and in my world, they've been unhappy for at least 5 years, because normally there's some major life event that happened 5 years before. There's about a 5-year shelf life of living unhappily married before somebody calls me. That's just one of the patterns that I've seen. Or that I see over and over. It could be a job change. It could be the death of an immediate family member. It could be the birth of a child. It could be some
Very hard for
major
marriages
move.
to sustain those big life changes.
Big life changes, and then what happens is something like shifts, and then there's a slow downhill, and then the last 2 to 3 years there's a much quicker downhill slide of the marriage, and then they call me. But what my favorite part of being a divorce lawyer, aside from the fighting, is like the divorce process is like a mandatory emotional growth spurt. Like there's no way around it. And growth is really painful. But what's really cool for me, and where I get a lot of satisfaction, is the client that comes in to talk to me today is not the same person I'm going to get divorced a year from now. And I always tell them that in the consult, and they look at me like I'm fucking crazy, and I'm like trying to sell them the Brooklyn Bridge. I'm like, I'm fucking telling you. And then at the divorce hearing a year later, I'm like,
What'd I tell you?
remember? And I said that, and they're like, I didn't believe you. But they really come out completely different.
They're stronger.
They're stronger. They're clearer. They're like, I don't even recognize who that person was, because they've grown so much emotionally. And I'm like, okay, go have a happy life. Yay.
Out of the nest.
Out of the nest. There you go. You know,
That's
and it's
literally what we do.
It's so
I love
cool.
it so much. You know what?
It's really fun.
Couldn't agree with you more. I find inspiration to answer my own question. I think we all are cut from the same cloth in that we find inspiration in watching our clients find joy.
Yes, and I get to be part of the process.
Yeah. Same.
Do you stay in touch with your people?
So it's, oh my God. So are you're like psychic or something?
Yeah,
You're
she
like
is,
reading my mind. So every December.
I mean, hello. Yeah.
So every December, and we were just talking about this today, every December I have a client party where I invite.
Now you're a matchmaker. You're like,
So-
Actually, you guys should meet.
So every December I have a client party where I invite all of my former clients and all of my current clients, and I get a DJ and food and beer and wine and a signature drink, and I'm usually the drunkest one at the party. And I just throw a big party. So people that I got divorced like 10 years ago, 7 years ago, 5 years ago will show up. And I'm like, oh my God. You know, it's like seeing a family member that you haven't seen, because it's a very emotionally intimate relationship that I have with my clients.
Yeah.
And I get to hear how they're doing. And a lot of times they'll bring their new person. And it's so fun to reconnect with them. Now, to your point about matchmaking, a lot of times they're like making out, and I'm like, dude, don't fucking tell me. Like, I don't want to know. I already know way too much about all of you on a very intimate and personal level. I know where all your bodies are buried. But yeah, there has been some matchmaking.
I bet.
And yeah, but it's really funny because everybody in the room I've represented. So they're all swapping stories. They're all roasting me. Oh my God, this time that Jennifer said this. And it's all very fun. And then...
But they're sharing an intimate
Yes.
experience that you were the centripetal force behind, right? So it's so special.
Well,
I
it's
love it.
like I'm the common denominator, and it's cool. Like, so I'll grab... At the last party I had pre-COVID, I grabbed a current client who was in the middle of the room just crying because she was like, I can't believe I'm getting divorced, and I can't believe I'm at a divorce party. And she was crying. And I grabbed a client that I had gotten divorced like 5 or 6 years before, and I introduced them because they had the same story. And I was like, okay, tell her where you were sleeping the last 2 years of her marriage. And she was like, oh, I was sleeping on the living room floor. And then my current client was like, oh my God, I've been sleeping on the couch for 2 years. I'm like, there you go. Okay.
All right,
go ahead.
chat. Goodbye.
Go talk. And then I'll connect them. So the ones that are all the way through it already will pull the other one through. And then that's also why I have a divorce support group.
I love that.
I see you advertise that, actually.
Yeah.
Because I'm a geek and read all of the local publications, and I see you advertise that part, and I think that's really, really nice. Yeah. I mean, obviously you have to be in the right mindset. Not everybody is comfortable in a group support environment.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think that's an awesome thing that you offer as an extension.
It's
Where
just
do you
an
host
extension.
it? At your office?
So no, oh God, no. I don't talk at it at all. I hire a therapist. The therapist runs it.
Okay.
It's been over Zoom the last few years for COVID, but actually in November we're starting to go back in person.
Good.
It's actually at the church like 2 doors down from me. right here on Broad Street on like I don't know. It's one night a month from like 7:30 to 9. I hire the therapist. I go. I bring the snacks, the decaf coffee. I say hello so people can see that I'm a divorce lawyer and I have all my teeth. And then I leave. And just let them, right? Because the divorce process can be very emotionally alienating. It can be a very lonely process because you don't only divorce your spouse, you're divorcing friends. Friends pick sides. This family from your spouse, you don't have them anymore. It can be very lonely. And I know that if my mother, again, back to my childhood, if my mother had that kind of support, it would have really helped her. So,
first of all, your mother seems to have done a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
Kudos to her.
I'll tell her.
But I think that
I heard your radio show, as my mom would say.
What's a podcast?
as difficult as it is to relate, that generation just didn't have the same tools that we all had. Right?
And it wasn't acceptable in
No.
1970 to get divorced.
No. And I mean, granted, my mom got divorced much later, but it was also not as acceptable because people in suburbia left her out. They didn't know how to include her. They didn't know how to be friends with someone that didn't have a partner.
But you know what else, Marissa? They're afraid they're going to catch the divorce
Of course, because that's what the 80s and 90s were like.
bug. No, it's still like that.
Yeah.
And what
You
happens
think
is...
that people still are not supportive of their friends when they're
Yeah,
friends?
100%. I hear it all the time from my clients. And also, I always...
People don't know how to be there for you. They just
Well,
don't.
and they're also afraid that they're going to catch the divorce bug. And they're also... A lot of them are busy hiding, pretending like they have happy marriages.
Yeah.
Well, I always joke, I didn't expect to have this be able to come up today. So my husband and I are together 20 plus years and married... How many did I just say? 16. And you can't buy an anniversary card anymore for anybody married 15 years or more. It's like, we have the bad times. It's like, I know I don't say this that often.
can't,
Like, it's
I know.
all like, and we're a very big card family.
But
And
it's same with like the mom cards. It's like, I should tell you I love you more, or whatever it is. And I'm like, I tell my mom I love her like 4 times. Like you realize that the
you're
majority.
expressive.
Yes.
I'm saying the anniversary cards.
Yes.
When it's either I love you, I want to rip your clothes off. Not appropriate, right? That's not appropriate for 15 plus years. Like, I don't want to send you that card. I want to send you a card like, we're in this together and I'm appreciative of you and like we have all this good stuff together. And it's like one card and it's like wrinkly on the corner, like and spilled out in CVS and you like bend down to get it. Anyway, my point is it's not easy being married a long time.
No.
It's not.
No, it's really hard.
It's really hard.
It's really hard.
It's really hard, and I'm sorry, but there are people who be like, "Oh my God, my parents have been married for 78 years," and I'm like, "That sounds horrible. That sounds horrible to me. I'm sorry,
Because one
but
of
it
them
sounds
didn't speak.
horrible."
Yeah, they probably barely spoke the whole marriage. Okay.
Shout out to anyone that's been married for 78 years.
Yeah, shout out to you.
We're just
Okay,
jealous.
We're just jealous.
Sorry, these are all of our old wounds.
Wait, married 78 years and still having sex? Okay, like
Okay,
let's
that's too much. That's too
qualify
much.
it
That's too
because just married 78 years of people ignoring their problems and living separate lives. No, thank you.
Yeah, I agree.
True.
So, do you have a mantra, by the way? Do you ever say like any sentence,
No.
thing,
No.
anything?
No.
Nothing.
No.
I liked what you said before, though. I meant to write it down. It was like, well, the repel thing I liked, but there was something else that was like things you always say. I mean, Marissa and I say to keep the momentum going in our careers and our relationships with our candidates. There's certain things we always say. Like we said a couple tonight: network most, immediate at the least, dream big. Say yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
do you mean things I say to my clients?
Yeah.
Oh, God, yes. I've got a whole list of those.
So
Well-
what's your favorite? You have any?
I can't help who you married.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not going to get better. His personality is not going to change just because you're getting divorced. His personality is not going to get better just because you're getting divorced. I can't help who you married. And then I'll usually will say, listen, go deal with your father issues. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like that's
true.
really kind of how I talk to my clients.
Oh, God.
What if you had any advice for like somebody out there? A lot of our listeners. This is a career podcast at the end of the day. So our listenership, which by the way, brag, Ming was pretty proud of us. I have to say.
He's just being nice.
No, he was pretty proud. No, that was real. We do not look at our stats really, because it's not that I don't want to know who's listening, but
You got to know your numbers, girl.
I know. So we know what they are ish, but yesterday I looked at them for real because I was trying to gather and tag everyone that's ever been on the podcast, which was, by the way, a huge undertaking.
And that's why she does it and not me.
It was absurd.
I don't do
So I'm
that.
like scrolling through, and I'm proud to say that we have over 20,000 listens in 50 countries.
Wow.
71 episodes
pretty
today. And that doesn't include our Facebook Live views. So when we're on Facebook Live, there's a couple people listening each minute, and then the
There's Miss Melissa's commenting.
Oh, hi. Love Jen. So I feel like
You know her as Miss Melissa.
we know her as Miss Melissa, yeah.
I don't know.
I am not related to Kirk McCaskill. I didn't even know that that was from Facebook Live. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, no, we are not related to Kirk. But our Facebook Live views also increase those numbers. So we're just thrilled to be able to touch people in this way, in whatever way that we can. But our listeners are job searchers, are people looking for career inspiration. Do you have any advice for people out there that are trying to figure out what kind of law they might want to practice? You know, a young attorney, a young associate that's like, how do I find myself a Jenn as a boss? Like, what kind of advice would you give to those out there that are currently trying to figure out if this might be their path?
So one of the things, actually, going back to, do I have things that I say often to my clients? And actually, I say this to anybody who's kind of fence sitting or who is kind of unclear on what it is that they want, whether it's career or marriage or divorce or kids or whatever it is. I always say, close your eyes and let's pretend that I'm a genie and that I have a magic wand that works. And you can have any life that you want. And everybody will be fine with it, right? Because everybody's got these filters from like, my parents wouldn't approve, or my sister wouldn't approve, or I don't think I'm smart enough, or I can't possibly do that, or whatever limiting beliefs that they have because of their shit from their childhood, right? Ultimately, I say, all right, if I have a magic wand, close your eyes, poof, you can have it any way that you want it, and everything will be fine, everything will work out. What does it look like?
Yeah.
Ta-da.
And then they're like, oh. And I'm like, okay, just think of it in that way, like that everything will be fine. You can have it any way that you want it because I have a magic wand. What does it look like? What are you doing? Are you staying married? Are you getting divorced? Are you having a kid? Are you, like whatever the issue is.
Yeah. I actually really love that advice. And we say similar things to our people. It's like, that's why we call ourselves the Dreamcatchers. We really believe that everyone we come in contact with, whether a small business trying to grow or somebody looking for work, you're chasing a dream. You're trying to figure out, what is that magic wand? What is the dream? What am I doing? Like, what am I put on this planet to even do? And so much of our work with people is, yes, tactile. It's your resume. It's your LinkedIn. It's your interview skills. But it's really about when you close your eyes at night, what are you trying to do? What is it that you're chasing? So I think what you're saying resonates a lot with me about how we kind of approach our candidates and clients as well. So I love that. So our favorite question, our last question, which you didn't know the answer to, and you're like, what the hell is
I don't
branding?
even know what that means.
So we, as the Dreamcatchers, are very into our brand. Like, what is the Dreamcatchers? What do we do? We are career coaches. We are, experts in job search. So we are also believers in kind of surrounding ourselves with others who do incredible work. That's why we interview people on our podcast. We have what we call a brand crush on Jenn McCaskill Law, right? We think what you are doing for your brand.
And how therapeutic is it for you to be able to share with this audience, and we'll record this and you can send it to a client. I mean, to people in Arkansas. It's important to be able to kind of tap into your storyline.
I think it's really
fascinating.
I do too, and I really think that it's important to surround yourself by the Trax tribe, right? Marissa and I are strategic on who we invite on this podcast because we need to actually have a brand crush, as we call it, on what you're doing, right? In my opinion, as an outsider, not neighbor, not friend, not beach club friend, you do all the right things for your brand in the community. You place your ads, you sponsor an article that Marissa and I both geek out and read, like the Journal and all the local magazines.
Yep.
Jen does a letter from Jennifer at the beginning, or advice from an attorney. So I think
You're invested.
Yeah.
You're invested in yourself.
You're doing all the right things for your brand.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I also always tell this story when it comes to her. During COVID, was it COVID?
Yeah.
She would offer her office out on, Facebook or like Working Moms or whatever, and say, if you need to get out of your house, you can come to my office.
Because you're going to murder your husband because everyone's in the same.
Yeah,
Yes,
no,
yes.
but she would say, like, just come use my office if you need to print, if you need to make a phone
Wi-Fi,
call.
yeah,
We're like
whatever you need,
6
yeah.
feet away. Like, I'm completely not near you. You can come in anytime. She's telling strangers, like, she'll leave them the key. Sorry, landlord. Like, any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And to me, I mean, granted, our kids are in the same grade, and she's always made me laugh, and she posts really funny things, and she's always good for a quick anecdote when you're passing by the cabana, but like that stuck with me.
Yeah, I
because
agree.
like who does that?
I agree.
You do, and I almost took you up on it because I
Yeah.
was like going
A couple
out of my
people
board.
did. A couple people did.
Like I was
Go
like,
ahead,
I don't
go
have my
ahead.
printer. I need like Wi-Fi or whatever. Like you're always the first to say, hey, listen, I have power. Come get it. Or if you need to
100%.
charge your phone. I think there was also a blackout in the midst of
There
everything.
was.
And you offered it then. And I just feel like people we all are in a sea of noise, right? And you can sometimes notice when somebody rises to the surface.
Yeah, I agree.
And you do that.
So
and I think it's awesome.
I think it's awesome too. And I think so. As far as the question, who is your brand crush? Do you find whether it's local or not? Like, is there
Anyone that rises to the top for you.
anybody that rises to the top?
Makes
for you?
your family function better.
We like to shout people out because we think it's fun to have our listeners maybe follow them or look them up. Or so, is there anyone that you would consider to be a brand crush? Like somebody that you just think kills it as far as how they run their ship?
No. I mean, like, my mind doesn't work this way, so
I get
it's
it.
more like I'm coming from a place of ignorance because.
Okay, so I'm going to let me redirect the witness.
Or rephrase the question.
I'm going to rephrase the question
Okay.
in a way that's a little bit more Scorpio friendly,
Okay.
like layman,
Okay.
one-dimensional.
Scorpio, brother.
Do you depend on any particular store, restaurant, venue that enriches your day-to-day life or makes it more simple?
Yeah, like, is there anything you couldn't live without locally that you would want to like take a minute and like shout out?
Like
because there's a lot of people listening.
the dry clean, like anyone in your life that runs a small business that you support regularly and they make your life better. And they're all listening now, by the way.
Oh, Sansu.
Love Sansu.
There you go.
There's a brand crush. I can't live without my spicy tuna pizza.
Wait, so literally, when I come home, or I come home late, I
literally said to
work
Dave,
really
order
late
the
hours.
sushi. I'm picking it up on the way home.
I came home last night. My husband's like, well, we have leftovers, or I could make you a quesadilla. My husband is very nurturing and kind.
I love your husband.
Which is great because I present as a person who doesn't need any of it, and he sees right through all of it, and he's like, okay, tough guy. What do you need? And he's like, what do you want to eat? I was like, I don't want this, I don't want that, because I'm high maintenance, which I'm sure is going to be quite a shock. And I was like, oh. And then he goes, do you want Sansu? I'm like, yep.
Yep, always want
It's like
Sansu.
always like a
Always
guaranteed. And then everybody in my house is like, I want this, I want this, I want this. I think we order from Sansu probably 2 nights a week.
At least.
See?
Sansu is
And
our
it's
local.
right-
for those that
it's
listen,
right down the street.
It's our local sushi place, and to be honest, it's excellent. Like,
Yes.
it's not just like good
I like
for
the
Fairhaven.
hibachi.
It's
Yeah, you
so
can get
good
hibachi.
there.
I get hibachi.
So that's
We
a
do that
great brand
because-
crush. It's just somebody that you can't live without.
I couldn't live without
They
Sansu.
do it right.
See, now you got it.
There
I
you
got
go.
it now.
You
Now
got it.
that we've turned your light on, is there anyone else you'd like to throw in the mix? It could be larger.
I think I'm going to change our questions to define that a little bit better for people.
Yeah, because I thought that you meant like a business to business. Like, do I like how somebody else brands or something? Like,
No.
I was confused. But I'm a lawyer though, so I'm an
Yes, you're thinking
overthinker.
it. Yeah,
I'm
I
an
get it.
overthinker.
But it's
No.
good to know. It's good feedback because I think in our
I'm
questions.
looking for like what shopping cart you have open on your phone.
Amazon.
Yeah, me too.
Same.
Well, my children go in and they add shit to my cart. I almost This
You
is
can
about
do that, by the way.
This was during COVID. Because I'm constantly ordering stuff.
Me too,
right?
always, all day.
Like just
And we
constantly.
completely
I think
employ
of
all
it
the
and I'm
people.
like, okay.
Same all day.
Wait, so I go into my shopping cart to order like I don't even like new pair of Spanx. And
Spanx is one of my brand crushes, by the way. If you know the way that it was built, and her
Don't
whole
interrupt her,
story.
but we
So
are-
I
Sarah.
totally mean shapewear when I say Spanx, but yes,
Yes.
I love her story. Agreed.
Love her story.
I wear Spanx every day, by the way, even during COVID, because for me it was like a mindset thing.
Yep.
So I was sitting my fat ass in front of the computer on Zoom, fucking trying to like argue, which is so different on Zoom. I'm like, oh my God, I feel thinner.
By the way, I think you picked up your like language skills in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Don't feel New Jersey to me at all. I just want to throw
Really?
it back. No,
Really?
no,
kidding.
I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're being sarcastic.
Yes.
Oh, and so I go to hit like, check out now, and I see that there's like 2 things in my cart, and I'm like, what's in here? Oh my God, it was a $2,000 trampoline that Missy my daughter had tried to put in my cart and was just hoping I wouldn't fucking see it. Meanwhile, I will
Missy,
tell you,
good job.
I will tell you that they got me one time because all of a sudden it was a Friday night. This is also during COVID. I come home from work. It's like 8:00 at night, 8:15. There's like a box on the desk that's from Amazon, and it says, "Open immediately."
Oh, it's an animal.
Trevor ordered a fucking like fish. Like it was like a tadpole that was gonna grow into a frog or something. And I was like, what the fuck? So then I open it and there's like a bag with water and like a tadpole. And I was like, what is this? And Trevor's like, oh my God, you ordered my tadpole. I'm like, not on purpose.
Yeah, like it was in the cart, bro.
So you know that you can do this now where you can create an Amazon account for your kid, and then when they go to order something, you have to approve it.
Yeah, except that like
way I
Mike,
didn't do that.
first of all, that's way too technical for me. And second of all, they know my passwords. Like
So this is the problem.
it's like a
I'm
really
just saying
big
this is a
problem.
problem.
I ask them what my password is.
Yeah.
Well, we know where your shortcomings are.
Just speaking of
It's all right.
tadpoles, I just want you to know we still have one of your guppies. So Jen gave us fish like 3 years ago, and they don't die. One died.
They don't die.
One ate the other.
They don't die.
Then they have
do each
babies
other.
and eat their babies.
They true story.
They
By the way,
definitely
this
self-impregnate too.
This feels right for you to have had.
What
Like
guppies that don't die?
eat their babies.
Like dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs!
Dinosaurs. They are indestructible.
Yeah.
Like actually indestructible. These fish do not die. They self-impregnate. My fish is definitely currently pregnant, and there is no other fish in there to pregnate this fish.
It's Jesus.
It's
No,
next
it's Mary.
level.
Sorry,
And
I'm sorry.
literally, we
Spirit.
talk about this all the time in the house. They're like, Trevor's fish don't die. Like, literally, where? Like, I can't. Like, literally, I think Jen posted that she had like 1,000
I
fish.
literally had like 25
and I'm like,
fish.
I'm coming to get fish, and like, it's just
And I think I gave you like 5 fish. And
we only have one left.
The
to be fair.
fundamental
They eat each
difference
other.
between Jamie and I is Jamie responds and says, I'm coming to get the fish. And I think to myself, who the hell has that many guppies?
But also, I have the boys. Boys want the fish.
No, thank you.
yeah, true
All right.
story.
This was such a joy. Anything that you want to share, say about your firm?
Are we invited to the firm's party? Is everyone else invited to the
Can
firm's
we go to
party?
the divorce party?
It's really fun.
Should we
sounds
bring
really fun.
matchmaker
It's like
friend?
really,
Matchmakers,
really fun.
bring our
okay,
single
I will
friend.
tell you that if your single friends want to come, then you can just text me.
But I think
And
that's
I will
so
put them on
nice.
a
Isn't
list.
that like that's like giving back?
Yeah.
Yeah, and,
It's
and I
almost
have it
charity.
in between Christmas, in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, because the holidays are very
Really hard for
difficult
people,
for
yeah.
divorced people, especially if it's brand new separation. So that's why I time it the way that I do, and I have it. I think it's December 1st, it's Thursday, December 1st this
love
year.
it. So we'll all crash that.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank
This
you
has been
for
such a
being here.
pleasure.
This is such a joy. I love this
So were
so
you gonna
much.
go back to work now?
Yeah, I have to like return some phone calls, and I'm half in the bag, but it's okay. It's fine.
We had a lot of that wine.
It was the rosé.
Thank you.
I drank all of it.
Thank you to Ming at A Shared Universe. Thank Go Blue. Thank you to Mod 39, our partner.
Love my
sponsors
dress.
tonight.
You look super cute.
And just
I liked the way I looked in the camera. Hopefully, when I look back on it, I'll feel the same.
and
I am a tough critic.
yeah, you are. You look beautiful.
Thank you.
I think this was a joy. Hopefully, somebody got a little nugget from this conversation tonight, whether on a personal or professional note. So,
Hey, and most importantly, if you're going through a bad time, no, I'm serious. Here I come.
here's the
Deep.
mental health day.
If you're going through a bad time, there are people out here that can help you.
Yes. that is-
Whether it is
Career.
you're stuck and you need a new job, or you need professional hug or guidance, we consider ourselves career healers. This is a woman that says people call her 5 years after they're unhappy. So anybody that's out there, you deserve to be happy.
It's so true.
So if not a Jenn, somebody that Jenn could maybe recommend in your neck of the woods. You should not. We only go around in this world once, as far as we know, and this way. And it should be a happy one, as best as we can control. So, be happy. And what'd you say? I can't change who you married?
I
Can't change who you married.
Can't help you married.
I'm lucky who I married, but boy, there's a lot of things we could change.
Yeah. Can't change who you
We all
married.
feel that
But
way.
he's a Scorpio, so I'm lucky.
Oh,
His birthday's this weekend.
That's why
Yes.
I got you.
Yeah, see, we're like good.
Yeah, I got
it's
it
like
now.
we're almost.
You totally know me.
Yeah, I'm
Married. She's
married.
married
We're
to
mar-
you.
You're married,
Married
to
to
me.
married to
You're
you.
married to
All
me.
right, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Good night.